Buen día, mi nombre es Pilu Giraudo.
Good morning. Today is Peter Giraudo. Today is Friday, August 28. This is our last day in our Congress, 8 o'clock in the morning, and welcome you from Venado Tuerto, Santa Fe province. Thank you very much for joining us, especially in this presentation we were so eager to listen to. Mankind Leadership of Rural Women by Sandra Schroff, Vice President of UPL. In During the presentation, you are welcome to send questions in the right part of your screen. We will try to, or we will be glad to answer some of those questions, but please, during the presentation, start asking your questions. In the top menu of the MEN website, you have a section called Participants or Attendees, and you can identify speakers and you can chat with them and arrange interviews. In the commercial hall, you'll find Aapresid space, you will find contents and interviews with experts. You can follow us in the social media using hashtag Congreso Aapresid, so you can remain updated with the Congress contents. Before starting with this interview with Sandra Schoff, I would like to invite Laura Lukasik. She's a digital transformation leader in UPL. UPL for all the world. Laura is a close collaborator of the Aapresid project, Aapresid classroom project. And she's also the facilitator, collaborator, and so many more things in this Mujeres Rurales network, Rural Women Network. Thank you, Pilu. It's an honor and to be with you today in this presentation. It's difficult for me because my heart is with the three teams and with the three networks. I follow you every day. Thank you. We were waiting very eagerly for this moment because this is a way to show how Aapresid through the Rural Women Network and a company, UPL, with whom we share views, are able to go along the same way. So we are now started with the interview with Sandra Schoff.
It's an honor to be able to share this interview on the last day of Aapresid Congress. Mrs. Sandra Schroff is Vice President of UPL, a family-owned company with global leadership. UPL is an Indian company and one of the top 5 agriculture solutions companies in the world. It has a presence in more than 130 countries and access to 90% of the world food market. It offers an integrated portfolio of agriculture solutions, both patented and post-patent, for various extensive crops and specialties that include biological solutions, crop protection, treatment of seeds, and post-harvest, covering the entire value chain of crops. Welcome, Sandra, to Argentina. A pleasure.
It's a great pleasure, a great honor for me to address your prestigious conference. I must say I do appreciate it because I appreciate the fact that Argentina is an agricultural country. It's proud of being agricultural country. Agriculture pays taxes and export duties, and which is really, I don't think any other country in the world has that type of agricultural dependence. And it's quite amazing. And to have the women like you working to get the recognition for women is really wonderful. Thank you very much for inviting me. I think this is really very, very, very important. And your Aapresid is an amazing organization.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sandra. It seems to be a dream to have you here with us. So your story as an entrepreneur, businesswoman, and of course as a rural woman, you know, is inspiring to us. And we want to say, how did you come to create UPL 50 years ago? And how were the beginnings? What was the purpose of the company in the beginnings? The challenges that you had to overcome?
Well, we were part of a large family of, which had a company called XL Industries. And there were 4 brothers who started this company and their children. And so my husband's father was the eldest brother, so his children had already come into the business. So there were 7 drops. And so it was a bit crowded. So first opportunity we got, we opted to start another company. And Raju was always a great innovator, chemical innovator. And he worked on developing new import substitution and producing difficult chemicals in India, hazardous chemicals and difficult to make them. So at that point of time, red phosphorus was what he was working on. And so red phosphorus needed a new factory because there wasn't enough room in the factories we had. So we started off at Wapi. So everyone probably knows about Wapi. That's where we started. And we broke ground in 1968 in a new industrial area in Gujarat. And Morarji Desai was there. He was the prime minister at that time. He did the groundbreaking ceremony for the industrial estate. So this was an industrial estate on grassland. There were no trees. Whatever trees had been there had been cut down because the local bosses of that area wanted to grow grass. And Wapi was a great grass growing area for Bombay's cattle. So yes, so we were there without any. One tree was there which had to be cut down for our plant because our plant had to go there. Anyway, so yes, we put up a plant there in 1969. We produced the first product. Why did we do this? Because we wanted to be independent. We wanted to be able to do what we liked. You know, it's a normal thing that happens when you're young.
Yeah.
And you don't. So we wanted to have our own business. We didn't want to have to. So it was for independence and doing things, you know, our own way.
And you are together, and so I am listening to you, and I'm perhaps I wanted to ask you how it's to be, because you are sharing with us in a common and in a natural way how is your life, but how is to be a business woman in India?
Well, for me, it was never really a problem because I never had any, I wasn't inhibited. I was very confident. And for instance, at Wapi, this was a village with just a Gujarati medium school. So I decided that, okay, we have to have an English medium school. So we used to have a lot of important visitors to Vapi. And we'd always have a meeting in our factory, because although we were just starting up, we had most facilities. We had kitchen, we could provide a meal very quickly, and we could get a tent up and have a venue for meetings. So the ministers used to come, and then I used to jump up in the middle after when the questions were asked, and I used to ask them for land for school and hospital, because there was no school there, there was no hospital there. And every time anyone came, I asked for that. And finally, I got land for a school and a hospital. And we started the school in 1972, and the hospital started in 1977. And the school is one of the best schools in Gujarat. And our children are all over the world. Our children are running factories, their parents' factory, or put up a new factory, or the doctors have come back from the United States and started an orthopedic hospital. Two brothers have done that. So the school was really very important, because everyone was young. We were all, I mean, there were no old people. They were all young. They all had children, or they had no children, and children came later. And so it was really very important to have a school. And I'll tell you another story which I've not shared before, and that is that in XL Industries, we had workers from this area who came and worked in Bombay. And so they were working with Raju in his work, and I said, oh, they decided to come to work with us in Vapi. So I said, oh, this is wonderful. And then one day I met them, and I said, so your children and your family must be very happy now that you're in Vapi and you're in your own village. They said, no, our children, our families are not here. They're in Bombay. Where is the school? They're going to an English medium school. These are Adivasi, who are tribal people, and their children in Bombay going to an English medium school. So then I decided on that moment, I said, Chalo, I'm going to make this school immediately. So I actually hijacked premises from the industrial corporation. They had built a guest house, which came up late, and we'd all made alternative arrangements, so nobody really wanted that guest house. So we turned it into a school. I just told them I was taking it over, and that was it. It happened. And now that in between the building went to the industrial corporation, but then now it's with us, and we've got a management college there.
Well,
in that building.
We know that it took you only 3 weeks to decide to be at the management of your industry. Can you tell anything about that story? It's very difficult. Perhaps men should think before going on a trip. What do you think about that,
yes.
Sandra?
I agree with you, yes. So Raju went off on a 3-week trip to Japan. And it happened to be the time when the children had holidays from school. And Vapi was an open countryside. I mean, it did have some factories coming up and building going on, but most of it was open. So I took the children, piled them into the car, and we all went to Vapi. And we would go walking across down to the river and swim and do all sorts of things. But I was working on my gardens. So I worked on the gardens. I would walk around every day, make sure everything was, dig up something or whatever. And then oh, I'll go in the factory, I'll go in the plant and look what's happening. So I did. I went in the plant and I was talking to people and listening to what their problems were and so on. And their problems were that they weren't getting what they wanted in time. So I started off getting up early in the morning, having lightning calls. You couldn't get a telephone system was very bad. You couldn't get an ordinary call. So 6 o'clock in the morning, I would have a lightning call, talk to the manager in Bombay, tell him this is wanted, that's wanted, what the other is wanted. And when Raju came back, the plant manager told him that you're not necessary anymore. Mrs. Shroff is doing a big job. To look after her.
You know, Sandra, I want to share with the audience that a few minutes ago I had the pleasure to know York to meet your husband, Mr. Shroff, and I told him that before having the opportunity to have an interview with Sandra, I was thinking about asking Sandra how was to be married to Mr. Shroff. But now I should ask Mr. Shroff how is to be married to Sandra, you know, changed, things changed. Well, Sandra, you were telling us about your public actions, leading social projects, and that positions you as the heart of UPL culture. And a company that recently, after having acquired Arista Life Science, was relaunched globally with a very powerful purpose, such as open art. I would like to ask you, what does open art means? What does the purpose means? Thinking that you promoted putting people first.
Yeah, putting people first and putting farmers first and putting farmers' requirements first and doing everything you can to ensure that farmer gets what he wants when he wants it and when he needs it, and to anticipate the requirements. So we do a lot of research and development on particularly different combinations of products which work well together and give good results, because constantly you have to change these things, and so we're on top of it. We've been very good at that, and so we put it into open ag, and we are going to supply whatever the farmer needs and take care of him.
Okay. And well, we know that the well-being of the community has been your constant concern, and well, you told us about education, health, and not only the to improvement of people living conditions and the environmental care, but all of this you do in a family way, with a family management. You know, can you tell something about your sons?
My son?
Yeah.
Well, Jay is number one son, and number two son is Vikram, and there's about 8 years difference between the two of them, which is a good thing. And Jay joined us when we were going to have a public issue in 1986. He was in college, but he was really not so interested in college. He had to go to college in order to get a degree. But that was it. So he got in with the team of people who were organizing the public issue. Arun Asha, our finance director, and then M.B. Trivedi, who is the company secretary. And he parceled us off to London, that myself, my daughter, Vikram, and we all went because he didn't want us around, because then people can come to us every now and then and ask for shares, you know. Prior to this, our issue, you could give shares to your friends, but when our time came around, it was difficult, and there was only a small amount of shares that you could give to people you knew. It had to be open. So yes, he worked really hard with that, and then of course he went back. He was studying all the time. He had to, and then he joined us in the 90s, and he was working. First of all, he trailed around behind his father wherever his father went. Whenever Raju was going on a trip, he would join him. Whether he was asked to or not, he went. And so he learned a lot whilst doing that. And then the first acquisition that we had, which was, up in Sandbach and Warrington. I've forgotten the name of the company at the moment, but that he championed that. In fact, he negotiated, and was about to finalize that, but then something went wrong, and it fell through. But anyway, after a little while later, it came up again. So he went again, and what we did together, actually, I introduced him to the government secretary who was in charge of it. At that time, it was very difficult to get money in England or to get money out of India. So we wanted $5 million out of India to pay for an acquisition when the time came. And so we had to get permission for this. And we went and met a very, very nice government officer who supported us. And it happened. And we were able to park money in England. We were able to, whenever the deal came up, we were able to finish it rather than, wait for government to give you permission and then transfer the funds after months and months of haggling, and whatever happens, with governments. I'm sure it happens in Argentina as well as India.
Everywhere.
Yes. We started off with that, and that was very good. And then he's now, now Arista is the latest acquisition.
Okay.
And that has been a very big achievement, very big achievement.
Okay.
And combining the companies together has also been a great achievement. It's, everyone is amazed at the amount of the way in which we do it and the way in which it's successful. That is a great achievement. I think a lot of credit goes to Jay for his, Jay.
Yeah. Well, yes, it's amazing your story. It's amazing your story because it's a story of growing and growing during these years. And I would like to ask you, Sandra, how do you see the future from the point of view of global fruit production and demand?
I think that global production, the chance is there for India to become the horticultural center of the world, because we have enough hands. You need hands for horticulture. You have big fields and you have big machines, and so does America. But India, we have orchards, and we can grow fruit. We can grow every type of plant that is grown anywhere in the world, because we've got every type of climate. We've got the alpine climate. We've got the all sorts of climates. So for the world, of course, agriculture is most important. Whenever there's a downturn in the world for any reason, agriculture doesn't suffer as much because we need to eat, right? So agriculture and the industries associated with agriculture flourish. And I have noticed that throughout my experience, I've noticed that happens. And it's a fact. And so we are secure in an agricultural-based business because we will be needed. We'll be needed in different ways. We'll have to change many things. And as far as India is concerned, I think India is going to be a very big producer. I mean, it already is. It's number 2 in the world after China, with $400 billion US, $450 billion US worth of food production. And India has increased its exports over the last 6 months by 20%, from 20 billion US dollars to 25 billion US dollars.
Wow. Yeah.
So things are going well, and I think agriculture is something that we should be in. We should pay more attention to. We should put more emphasis on encouraging people to work in agriculture and to participate in agriculture. And I like the idea that I heard earlier that you teach in schools. You talk in schools about agriculture. You should. You must. I was thinking of the same thing, that in the rural areas, we have to teach the children all about agriculture. The children have to think that, yes, they can make a living out of agriculture. Agriculture is important and it is worth working at, and that they can do it. Because I find farmers extremely clever. They may not be clever in the things that town people are clever in, but they're very clever in their own sphere. And they adapt very well, and they take up new challenges. And yes, a farmer is second to no one.
Yeah. Thanks.
And Argentina is second to no one.
Thanks, Sandra. I want to share with the audience that Sandra is talking about Aapresid classrooms, the project that belongs from Regionales Aapresid, that works sharing our experience from our fields, the technologies that we use every day, the problems, the successes, the mistakes, and how we are commitment with producing more with less, how we are commitment with producing, taking care of environment, and promoting social development. Thank you very much, Sandra. You are encouraging us to grow in this way. And talking about this, I was thinking that, well, everyone's we are commitment for caring for the planet, you know, the need to respond to the demand for food security and the use of new technologies and to optimize the use of research within the production process, you know. And I love your introduction in your web that you say that you see humankind like one community, you know. I love that. It's a great position. And so I wanted to ask you how do you see the future of the crop protection industry, and in relation to the increasingly demand for sustainability from consumers?
I like what you said just now, more with less. So we have to produce more food in less land. We have to increase the productivity of the land. We have to ensure that we can give more land back to nature everywhere. In England, they have been doing it for many years. They cut off a part of a field and they grow trees in it. It looks a little weird, but it works. And that's what we have, that we need to have large areas of forests, and we need to have large areas which are not, trampled upon by man, to allow the other animals in the world to survive. And in order to do that, we need to use everything properly. We need to use crop protection properly. We need to use fertilizers properly. We need, in my opinion, it's all the organic waste that we produce in the cities should go back to the farms. It's come from there. It has to go back. The carbon is required in the soil, and natural fertilizer is required. Chemical fertilizer is required to top up various types of deficiencies in the soil. So if we have a perfect soil, if we have a soil which is full of all the organic waste that we produce, and if then we're going to, everything will work very well. The production of the fields will be good. The holding of moisture will be good, and that is what we have to really concentrate on. And with our new product, Ziva, that is the beginning of doing that. And as I told you, I'm an organic person. I love fertilizer, meaning natural fertilizer, and I produce compost wherever I go. And you might be interested to know that all my waste in my house is recycled.
Wow.
Including sewage. Wow. It goes through 3 bioreactors in lime, and then comes out and put in one tank, and we water the garden with that.
Wow, wow. great lesson for all of us. Thank you very much. And I love to listen to you with this position, because there are different movements all around the world against science for sustainable production, and it's a huge responsibility for all of us that we are involved with food production and caring environment. So that I think that the voice of a woman perhaps is more confident for people to trust our work every day. And so I am going to take in advance of ask you, how does it mean to you to be a rural woman, and what changes thinking about 50 years ago, for example, and also how to be a rural woman in India?
I think it's probably the same everywhere, because rural women in India work very hard. They do a lot of the work in the farms. They take a lot of responsibility for animals, for milk, for eggs, for all the things. And 50 years ago, or 60 years ago, the same was the case in Europe. The same was the case in Argentina. The women would take care of the animals. The women would take care of crops, and they would pull their weight. They would work as hard as the men. So the same thing, women have to work very hard. And I think that it depends upon technology. Once technology comes and takes over, and you get machines for plowing and machines for everything, then it changes a bit. But at the present time, India is way back 50 years ago, as far as comparison with the West is concerned, or Europe is concerned, or Argentina is concerned. But it will change. It will change. It is changing. Women now, 50 years ago, they didn't do very much. But now they participate in many things. They participate in elections, in education, and girls go to school and go to college in the rural areas. So things are changing. They become teachers. The schools have come up there, so they become teachers, local teachers, that sort of thing. So it is changing, but women are very, very important, and they play a very big, a very important role in agriculture everywhere in the world, I believe.
Sandra, you know that we created the Rural Women Network here 2 years ago, and your company, through OpenR, choose us to promote our work, to empower us, and to work together. It is an enormous responsibility for us, and we would like to know your message, not only for us, the women that we are in the network, but also for the new generations of rural women.
Well, the sky is the limit. The rural women, as women all over the world and everywhere, if they decide to do things, they can do it. If they decide not to do anything, then of course they can do that too. But women, the only one thing that comes in the way of women's progress is the fact that they have children, and that brings it's difficult to manage the two, and it requires a lot of sacrifice on parts of the children, on parts of the husband and the woman herself, because she still has to cook, she still has to manage the children. She's the prime manager of the children. I don't see any fathers become the prime manager of the children. Many.
You are right.
But yes, that is a point. But a lot of women come up after the children have grown up, after they've gone to school, when they've gone to college. Women come forward and they can have a late career, and they do very well. And I mean, we have so many women who've become CEOs of companies and so on. But it is difficult. It is difficult because of the family responsibilities, which we have to face. But we should not be bowed down or cowed down by that. We should get the men doing the washing up, right?
Okay.
You don't mind.
I love your words. The sky is the limit. Sandra, your company is a top 5 in the world. It still has a family management, and you are here talking to all of us today. I am very hopeful with that in the future only good opportunities will come. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much for calling me. Thank you.
I hope this is the beginning of a very deep and strong relationship between rural women and OpenR, Argentina and India, and a global commitment and work together. Thank you very much again, Sandra.
Yes, we will work together.
Okay, thanks a lot. Buenos días. Bueno,
This is a very moving testimonial. Laura, I would like to share this with you because Sandra's testimonial is her company is the fifth largest company related to farming, to agricultural activity that is still under family management. With this dedication, I think that gets right to our heart. We said that this initiative can be used and we can take advantage of this through open ag, and we were talking about open hearts, And this brings us to what we started 2 years ago, inspired by G20 in Argentina, in this project of gender equity, and also considering the rural development for women. We are 1/3 of the world population with a high percentage of agricultural labor, and providing training, environmental care, best practices, communication. And we come across this initiative, UPL's Open Act, trying to get entangled with all the players and stakeholders to achieve this transformation as rural women, but with the belief that we need to work all together. Laura, I want you to explain what is Open Ag, Open Hearts. I'm still amazed. I'm still saying, wow. Open Ag is a purpose. I think that each of us and everybody that is on the other side, we are the spokespersons. You know how important it is to live with a purpose, no matter what that purpose is, especially in the complexity the world is experiencing, the earth is experiencing. In that context, the purpose has to do of how to provide support to networks that have to do with food sustainability. You can imagine that reading books, or you could really, in fact, imagine what does every person, every individual needs every day on their tables, or the glass of milk that a child needs every day. And there is the farming sector, the different attitudes, and the networks, financial networks, logistics networks, business networks, environmental networks. The the network, and considering rural women as an affinity group, is inspiring. And the objective or the purpose of a company, of such a family company, creates this concept of extended family. We believe that this is a huge responsibility, and making things happen, and making things happen for good, seems to be the basis for that. And Sandra was also talking, saying something that you say every day, and behind that there is an Edward, is that intelligence is also distributed. Intelligence is in each individual that creates the possibility to take action in a chain. Rather than a chain or a network, I would like to talk as a bond. If you want to imagine what the purpose of this is, it's exactly that. And no matter what the purpose is, it is important to have a purpose, especially among young people and not so young people, as we see in Aapresid and in Aapresid. You see young people with all their energy, and people who are not so young have the generosity. I like that, and I step aside from the corporate role, and I think of this as two huge sets of people that come together with humanity. You have the world of production, farmers, action, and in the middle, you have this humanity. You have women that manage their family, manage their emotion, their vulnerabilities, their sensitiveness, and they are there. And then you have the companies that, thanks God, and that's an evidence there is a firm objective. Uh, 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 the attitude that if we are together, we can get more things. 'Cause I don't know if I've answered your question. Why rural women? Why Aapresid? I would like to summarize this in an exercise. I think that there are many people that wake up in the morning. I go to bed in the at night, trying to find what the best version of themselves they can have. That has to do with a healthy business, trying to improve and to learn, trying to give and to teach and to go to the other side of the fence, the jump over the fence. I would say because Pilu, Claudia, Silvia, Pauline, Agus, Fabi, Mary, Louis, what else, whoever is there, why are they there? Because Rodrigo, Agus, Flor, Euge, Santi, and Milvan, and Maggie, and Ceci, and those of you who are there because Augusta, Nico, Ale, Nati, you, Pili, and Chino are there. When you feel that, you don't need to explain anymore. There's life, there's people. You don't have to do that. I'll die right now. Really, you are moved. I just wanted to you to say that it's incredible that we are listening to Sandra. I want to remind all of us that her company is fifth at the global level. It's the largest fifth company in the world. So people who don't believe in science or we need to know that we have our own truth and we believe that all these companies or these moves are beneficial for a few people and they don't have this environmental awareness or putting uh, people first. But as Sandra said, and as you can read in her website, the humanity as or mankind as a single community. It is exactly what you are telling us, Lau. And I wanted to express the fact that Sandra was telling us that in India there are many hands. And and horticulture needs lots of hands, needs labor. And I was thinking of Argentina. In Argentina, we have a very small population compared to India. We could be a small town in India, but we also have many hands, many heads, many minds, many people thinking, many regions, many possibilities to expand. And so we can propose all together this change that Argentina needs opportunities for everybody, fight poverty, which really is one of the reasons why we are working together in rural women. Is not that we want to take the country over. Really, what we want is to use this message to take Sandra's legacy, and we want to feel that we are equal. We are all the same at different in different places of the world. And now I want to give the message that the sky is the limit. And the sky is the limit not only for rural women, but the sky is the limit for absolutely everybody. I hope we can work on that so that the only limit is the sky. And we leave with all the power that this interview left us with, working in networks, but really work in networks because common good is what brings us together. The purpose of rural women where Aapresid and APL adhere, or they joined this movement. Once again, Lao, and this public movement, which is the 28th Aapresid Congress, Forever Alive, Forever Green, I want to thank you publicly. I want to strengthen our commitment. Thank you, Pilo. I, our head, our heart, and our hands are available, are at your disposal. There are many of us that can achieve the change. With a purpose, you change the possibilities, and a small change in the possibility means a huge change. Only that. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to make this possible. I want to thank everybody, the work they have done for the organization of this Congress. Only thank you. We join you. Thank you. May the sky be the limit of to this commitment that we have.